بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We continue our study of the book Divine Justice by Ayatollah Mutahhari. The part that we want to study today is about the role of the difficulties and calamities in producing good. So he says, we have already mentioned 2 points about calamities and difficulties and bad things. One was that negative things.
In the English book, what I know is the topic we're doing.
One is that negative things or ugly things, we said they are part of a system, and for having the whole system we need to have them. We discussed this in details. The second thing was that actually if there were no difficulties or ugly things, then good things, beautiful things would not even exist. If everyone was Yusuf, like Yusuf, then the concept of beauty was disappearing. If everything was flat, there was no mountain and valleys and flat, everything was the same, then we couldn't have so many good things that we have on the planet now. There has to be differences, ups and downs, beautiful, ugly. Sometimes you become hungry, then you enjoy food. If you're always full, then you are not enjoying food. So this was the second thing. We discussed this before. The third aspect that we want to discuss today is that bad things are actually producing good things for us. In particular, difficulties and calamities are like mother for fortune and good opportunities and perfection. He says this world is made in the way that inside difficulties you have good things, and inside also good things you have difficulties. Yes. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. Man has been made in labor or difficulties. So, or for example, Quran says يُولِجُ اللَّيْلَ فِي النَّهَارِ وَيُولِجُ النَّهَارَ فِي اللَّيْلِ. Although it is about day and night, but in a sense means opposite things are coming together and one goes inside the other. So, in the most enjoyable time, you also have some difficulties. And in the most difficult time, also there are good things. Then he refers to Surat Inshirah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alam nashrah laka sadrak wa wada'na anka bizrak alladhi anqadha dhahrak wa rafa'na laka dhikrak فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. He says we should consider the whole surah, which is about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah was facing lots of challenges and difficulties, to the extent that Allah says this burden, this weight, wizr, this burden which was on him was nearly breaking his back. أنقض ظهرك. It was like breaking, it's like if you have a roof made by wood and something heavy is put on it or is moved, you hear some voice, some sounds like it's breaking. Yeah? So, أنقض ظهرك. It was like breaking your back. But we gave you patience and large heart to contain it. We raise your name. But then Quran says, فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. With difficulty there is ease. And then as a general rule, not only for the Prophet, in a general rule, إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Then Allah says, فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ. When you finish a task, فَرْغَب. Ayatollah Mutahhari said it means that فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ فَانْصَبْ وَإِلَى رَبِّكَ فَارْغَب. When you finished a job, fansab means again put yourself into a new job with difficulties. Yeah, fansab. Nosb means difficulty. Means human beings should not say, I want to finish and then relax. Rest of my life I want to relax. It's not a good thing. If you want to relax, it means that you are not going to make any progress. So you have to say, and I have to say myself, oh Allah, please enable me to finish this stage, this job, and be able to maintain my integrity, my patience, do my duties, so that then I can move on to a higher class. And then, of course, there will be other challenges, but they again help me so that I can meet and face those challenges and then go to higher. So always you should be moving from one stage to another stage, which is higher, but never say, I don't want to have any problem. Because if you don't want to have any problem, either you have to die, which maybe it's actually the beginning of problems, we don't know, or you have to be a useless person who has no impact, no progress. Because life is a race, in a sense, that not a race with some other people necessarily, a race for everyone. Yeah. So I'm not saying that it's a kind of always competition. No, even if you are alone, it's a race that you should improve yourself. So a good lesson for all of us, that we can never expect problems to stop. So, فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ فَانْصَبْ. When you finish a job, then again put yourself into another job with difficulties and challenges. Then he says something interesting. He says challenges and attacks and pressure can break non-living beings. If there is stone, if there is glass, if there is wood, there is plaster, pressures, attacks can destroy them and break them. But living beings with pressures and attacks, they are stimulated and they can become stronger. Of course, if it is too much, it can be destructive. But normally the pressures which are coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the difficulties that come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his friends, are not more than they can cope with. He gives that much that you can cope with, and then when your capacity increases, then you may get more. Yeah, it's the way to make progress. But he doesn't give you too much if it is his plan. If it is caused by people, then that's different. But mu'min is never defeated. Mu'min has all the means and all the power to resist all the challenges. No one can defeat a movement as long as it's movement. So, for non-living beings, pressure and attack can damage them, break them, destroy them, but for living beings, makes them fresh and give them a new kind of vitality. He says, conflicts and challenges are like weeping for stimulating. Then there is a famous thing in letter of Amir al-Mu'minin to Uthman ibn Hunayf. You know, Uthman ibn Hunayf was appointed by Amir al-Mu'minin as a governor, and Imam Ali received a report, a reliable report, that he gets invitations from rich people and goes to the meetings, regularly and eats like them, So, but he doesn't show that much interest to the meeting of the poor people, for example. One of the things that Imam Ali mentions in that, actually, it's not only about human being, as a biological principle. He says that if there is a plant which is grown in a very difficult condition, it's stronger and more endurable. He says, "Ala inna shajarat al-barriya aslab udan." When there are trees which are planted in dry land or where there is little water, they are stronger. They have, stronger roots, stronger, wood also. You can use their wood, for hard work. But those things, plants that are always given water and everything, they are weaker. They are very soft. وَالنَّبَاتَاتُ الْبَدَوِيَّةُ أَقْوَى وَقُودًا. Those plants that are in desert, they are better also for burning. If you want to use them as a fuel, they are better than those which are constantly being given water. وَأَبْتَأُ خُمُودًا. When you put on fire, they are slower in being extinguished. Yeah, they quickly can give you heat and fire, and they are slow in being damaged. So this is in letter 45. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in the Quran, in the famous ayah, وَلَنَبْلُبَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah says, لَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ. Lam for ta'keed, noon of ta'keed. And this shows, this is certainly happening, that we are going to try you, بِشَيْءٍ, with something, مِنَ الْخَوْفِ, fear, or Jew, hunger, or loss in money, or thamarat, means fruits, or anfus, loss of people, lives. This is going to happen. You are going to be tested. But وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. But give bishara, good news, to the people who are patient. Okay? There is no bishara that you are not going to be tested. The bishara is that if you are patient, then you are receiving bishara. And sabirin are the people that الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ راجعون. When difficulty, calamity, tragedy happens to them, they say, we are from God and we return to God. then Allah says, أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَيْهِمْ صَلَوَاتٌ مِّن رَبِّهِمْ وَرَحْمَةٌ. These are the people that receive salutations from Allah and mercy. And you know, those who receive salutations from Allah, what happens to them? Those who receive salutations from Allah, in Surah Ahzab, Allah says, Allah takes them from darkness to light. هو الذي يصلي عليكم وملائكته ليخرجكم من الظلمات إلى النور. So it means that those who are patient, when calamities come, Allah will take them from darkness to light. And also Allah gives them mercy, rahmah. And part of this rahmah is forgiveness. But rahmah does many other things that we discussed in understanding God's mercy. So you have to be prepared for calamities, not volunteering, as I said, but be prepared for it if it happens. And try to be patient, not lose your patience, not be thinking that Allah doesn't love you, Allah doesn't care about you. This world is absolutely bad, absolutely negative, being depressed. No, this is a race, this is a training place. There are motivations, and sometimes these motivations are in the form of challenges. Because if we say to people, if you do well, we give you sweets and chocolates, this doesn't have that much power. Yeah, but if you put them in difficulties, then it has more power. Yeah. So, for example, if you say, please, don't be attached to dunya, we will give you all the reward. Many people are attached to dunya, but some problem sometimes happens to you during your life that you are totally detached from dunya. Dunya for you has no attraction anymore. Yeah. So sometimes pressures can do something that success or positivity cannot do. And also, I was thinking actually a few days ago that sometimes your enemies can do something for you that even your friends cannot do for you. Yeah? If you want to become a better person, if you want to move towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a good friend is very helpful. One of the greatest blessings is to have good friends. Yeah, with whom you can travel towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They can be inspiring you, reminding you, encouraging you. Gives lots of energy if you have good friends. And if they are stronger than you, they can a little bit push you. Yeah, they cannot force you, because if they force you, there is no benefit. Yeah, but they can push you a little bit. So sometimes you are lazy, they can push you a little bit. It's about good friend. It's very important. But still, I think sometimes enemies can do more. Because sometimes enemies, especially those who are very bad, are so bad that you run away from them and then you jump into the hands of Allah. A friend cannot do this. But enemies, especially those bad ones, make you much closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we have bad enemies, sometimes we have to be grateful that yes.
Some people, when they recite dua, maybe they may ask for bala to be removed from them.
Yes.
But would you say this is perhaps not the best dua, and rather we should be asking for bala not to come to us that would perhaps cause us towards misguidance, but we should treat it in the right way and let it grow our iman?
We ask for afiyah, but so we don't ask for bala, we ask for afiyah. But if bala comes, we should be prepared for it. Okay? So not to ask for bala, but be prepared for bala. Especially, we can pray to Allah that I know that I'm going to be tested. Please test me with the things that I can pass, I can be successful, and make them easier for me. But you shouldn't say, please don't test me. Yeah, we have to be tested. Or some people, say, oh Allah, test me with money, test me with fame, test me. So, but who knows? Maybe you will fail these things, easier, because. So we say, please test us, because there is no way to succeed, but in the way that we can manage, make it easy for us, because we are very weak. We shouldn't think, I'm very powerful. I'm asking Allah to give me more difficulty, more calamities. Yes.
Sheikh, I have two questions. One is, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.
Yes.
Is this something we say in extreme calamities, like someone passes away, for example, or even when, I don't know, like someone scratches your car? Do you say it always whenever something happens, or is it for calamities, like big events?
It seems that anything that is a trial, anything that is good and you lose, because it says بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَالنَّقْصِ. So if, for example, you are for some time hungry and you don't have something to eat, this also can be said. But it's more now established that it's when we lose someone. But it's not necessary that even, for example, in the case of the story of Karbala, that, for example, I think we had this, that when the news of the appointment of Yazid reached and they asked for allegiance, I think Imam said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So it was not about death of a dear one, it was about a big problem in the ummah. Yeah, so sometimes you can say when there's a big tragedy, when you see, for example, innocent people are killed, you can say Inna lillahi, or when you see there is injustice, for example.
And Sheikh, the second question, if you are tested with a very difficult situation and you do the right thing, but for example you lose your temper while you do the right thing.
Yes.
So you did the right thing, but you were very angry.
Yes, yes.
So do you consider yourself failed or successful or partly successful? How would we analyze this?
It depends how serious was that issue and how much you got angry, and then what your anger caused to other people. So there are many factors. Sometimes it's a very, very challenging issue, like a war, for example. Okay, if in war you get angry, it's not as bad as, for example, in relations with family members and friends, you get angry, So although we should always try not to get angry in the way which is not reasonable, but it depends on the case. Unfortunately, many times in relations that we have with each other, when anger comes, we become loser. So we may be first mazloom, then we end being zalim. Many times this happens. We overreact and we destroy everything. So we have to be very careful. May Allah help us, inshallah. Then Ayatollah Mutahhari has a discussion about, so this was general, but he has also a discussion that calamities are also especially expected for awliya, Allah, friends of God, saints. He mentions some hadith. For example, Imam Baqir alayhi salam said, إن الله عز وجل ليتعاهد المؤمن بالبلاء كما يتعاهد الرجل أهله بالهدية من الغيبة. You know, imagine someone is traveling and for some month has to be away from family for some years. Okay? It's not just 1 week, 2 weeks. So if you are away from your family, your loved ones for some time, what do? You send them gifts. So someone is going, for example, there, you say, you know, please take this for my family. You send them money, okay? You post for them. So you don't forget your family, and anything that you think would be useful for them, make them happy, you would send for them. Okay? So Imam Baghi says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also does the same with mu'min. Mu'min cannot see Allah. Allah is in a sense, you know, hidden from mu'min. If there is any good bala, Allah keeps sending for this mu'min. It will be useful. Of course, you have, whoever is watching this has to listen to previous lectures. We said it's not that Allah does all these bad things that happen. Many things are against the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Many things are against the will of Allah. But still you can benefit from it. And then there are things that which are tests. Then maybe those are the things that Allah would be happy if it is not caused by injustice or zulm. Another hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. إن الله إذا أحب عبدا قثه بالبلاء قثا. If Allah loves a servant of him, would insert him into bala. You know, like if someone, for example, you want him to learn how to swim. He has all the lessons, but he's always afraid of going to water. You throw him into water. Then he has to survive. Or he says, you know, some birds, when the time comes that their children have to fly and they don't fly, they throw them from the nest outside. But they are watching them. If they cannot, fly, they take them. But they let them struggle. Because if you don't struggle, you don't learn. So if Allah really loves someone, قَثَّهُ بِالْبَلَاءِ, Allah would cover him with calamity. قَثَّهُ قَث غين and tha. قَثَّهُ بِالْبَلَاءِ قَثَّا. But the beauty of this is that when Allah puts you into this, He watches you and He is with you. So you will get more connected to Him. Yeah, you will have more spiritual time, inshallah. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam also said, Inna ashadda an-nas bala'an al-anbiya. The people who had the greatest test and trial and calamities were the prophets. ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ. Then the people who come after them. Those who come in the rank second to the prophets. ثُمَّ الْأَمْثَلُ فَالْأَمْثَلُ. Those who are closer and then those who are closer. So depending on how much they resemble them in their quality, how close are in their rank, they are expected to suffer. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ma uziya nabiyyun mithla ma uzit." So the prophets have the greatest suffering, and among them, Prophet Muhammad had the greatest. ما أوذي نبي مثل ما. Yes.
Sorry, here there's a hadith mentioned from the Prophet that he went to someone's house.
Yes, I'm mentioning that.
Yeah. So does that mean if someone there's no bala for him because he left the person's house and he said Allah's mercy is not descending here? Does it mean someone who does not have bala, he's been neglected by Allah?
If absolutely no bala, yes, it's worrying. There is a hadith here, a story. I don't know, those of you who have heard my lectures on suffering. This is a hadith that I mentioned also there. Once Rasulullah went to see someone and he was supposed to have meal in his house. Then he saw a hen walking on the edge of the wall and then laid an egg. And the egg dropped and stood on a nail. It's not in the book, the details, but the story is there. Rasulullah was surprised that this egg dropped and stood on the nail, didn't break, and didn't drop on the floor. So this man realized that Rasulullah was surprised. He said, وَالَّذِي بَعَثَكَ بِالْحَقِّ, by the one who has raised you truthfully as a prophet, I have never had any musibah, any problem. Nothing breaks in this house. Nothing is burnt, nothing is broken. No one becomes ill, And maybe he said it with a sense of pride that, that maybe he thought he's a very special servant of God, that, that no problem happens. Then Rasulullah left, didn't stay for meal, and said, this something like, for example, this is a person that, or you are someone that, ma lillahi fiha hajas, someone that Allah has nothing to do with him. Allah has left him. This is istidraj. If Allah doesn't care about someone, then a sign of it might be that nothing wrong happens, everything they want happens. They say in the books on akhlaq, you may have seen this story, that there was a person, like a king, a khalifa, who was not good, and he had invited many people, and they had a sinful gathering, and it was outdoor. The only problem was sunshine. It was too hot. So they were doing all the haram and said, I'm just king. And he said, I wish there was cloud. And actually cloud came. Not because he is the loved one, but this is istidraj. Means sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would leave someone, like for example, as a teacher, if you have a very good student, he's doing his study properly, okay, you give him instructions, but you are not very worried. If you have students who are weak, you work with them, give them extra homework, check with them. But if you have very weak students who are careless, and you see it's waste of your time, so you just ignore them. They may think, oh, it's very good. The teacher never asks me questions, never says, where are you? What have you studied? But this is not a good sign. It means that he has lost his hope in you. He knows you are going to fail. So it's not a good sign if no tragedies happen to you, no difficulties happen to you. But yes, it's a good sign if tragedies that damage your faith or piety don't happen to you. Allahumma la taj'al musibatana fi dinana. Yes? Or tragedies that damage your dignity and honor. But other challenges that are like death, like illness, like poverty, having enemies. These are common. Prophets had, awliyaullah had these problems. So, Inna ashad an-nas bala'an al-anbiya. The greatest people in difficulty, means those who had greatest difficulties and calamities, were the prophets. ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ, then the people who come after them. Then ثُمَّ الْأَمْثَلُ فَالْأَمْثَلُ. Then he says, there are two things that have power to transform human beings and motivate them and bring out from them their potentials. One is love. When you love, for example, your work, you become very creative and innovative. When you love your studies, you don't miss any mubahasa if you love. Other thing is bala. So love and suffering or calamities, these two can motivate and make you very creative. Okay? You may say, what about hatred? No, hatred doesn't make you creative. How many people you have seen have produced artistic pieces because of hatred? But love can, bring out your skills, your, talents. Those who are full of hatred, if they want to make a poem, they cannot make a nice poem. But either for love or if you are challenged. Okay, so we finish this part. Inshallah, we continue next week. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.